After live, please make sure to hit that like button as you tune in. It will greatly help push this through the analytics and help us expand the reach of this live. We've got a lot to talk about here. I don't know how long we're going to be on during the live, but there's a lot to look into. I want to have at least, I would like to get us close to 7 o'clock at the very least. So we'll see how the active discussion goes, and we'll see what kind of mindset the audience is in, and see if we're in a talkative type of persona here today we'll take on in the audience. So we'll see what happens here. But let me timestamp this very quickly. Good evening. 6:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Tuesday, January 16th, 2024. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So, welcome in, Kwame, welcome in. Derek, good afternoon. Bill, welcome in. Sully, all the world's a stage. Yes, it is. Welcome in. Harvey Boy, good evening. Matt, Holden, welcome in. UK Phil, good to see you in here again as well. The frozen state of Michigan, indeed. Yeah, it's been very cold. Was -2 overnight. Feels like negative right now. I think it's like 9 degrees right now. Something like that. Let's see. Let's see where we're sitting at right now.
It's chilly.
It is chilly. We're sitting at 8 degrees right now. So only going to get colder here tonight, but you know, it's what we sign up for here in Michigan. We didn't get a lot of snow here up until the last few days, so. But right now, as we can see, Bitcoin getting closer to 7 o'clock. Bitcoin's up 727 points, up to 43,216. It snuck up here now, 1.7% on the day here. Came kind of out of nowhere, although we did bounce off of low support. We came down to this 41,780 area. Now you would expect to hit resistance at 44,256 if we are bearish, and then push back down. But that's the formation. That's if you're looking at the bull flag setup. If you're looking at the more adapted pattern that we're within what looks like a broadening style wedge here, or maybe just a wedge, maybe not broadening. Getting uptrending support where it's getting a little more volatile, but it's getting a stationary hit on support. So the resistance, a little more volatile. The support is very, very stationary. So that's what it feels like we're doing. You could switch this a little bit and kind of move it on. Some people would probably do this, but I think it shows a lot. Because some would say, oh, we're in a rising channel, which sure, you could say that. But I still think it validated this whole structure here by coming down here on this movement here. So could we say we're on a rising channel? We could. We could. And then we could say if it breaks down the lower support on that channel, then it comes down to the low support at 40,600 again. But one could argue, and I couldn't really argue it if one wanted to say we're in something like this. And it's understandable. But it still seems like we diagnosed this, and it's allowing us to look at this a couple different ways. Like if we ride this support, I think it would be a volatile move back up. If it breaks this, we know we're coming down here to 40,500 area as it is now. So maybe it's better to look at it like this now that I look at this more. Now that it's giving us a little development here. So let's see. Taki, welcome in. You got good XRP news for us? Well, we'll take a look at all the XRP stuff. We'll go take a search on Google as well on XRP to see what's going on. But the good XRP news is we're working off a cup and handle here. If we look at it in the daily time frame, we'll go into XRP in a minute. Jorge, minus 40 degrees Celsius here in Canada. Damn. That's cold. Afternoon from Arizona. I didn't see who said that, but I will see that in a second. So that's Bitcoin. So we could always see that uptrending support there. Bitcoin could very well be holding that. And maybe this is how we push back up. But if it breaks through this, I still think it's in a wedge formation. But I've had the argument, some would say we're in a rising channel, which I can't say, oh, well, you're wrong. But it certainly shows more of a wedge formation to me so that you don't get kind of caught up on that uptrending support. I think you still use that stationary support or the flat support. But you know what? That's just my own interpretation. Some have a different one. And then if you want to look at it like a bull flag, then it's simple like this. This is how it would be looked at as a bull flag. Broke out a few times, couldn't stay over, and now we're consolidating. So I wouldn't kill anybody with any of it, but we do have that technical target down here, 40,600 that we put out there when it was at 47,000 and some change. And that was just based on the structure that it formed into with Bitcoin. And that would be how we formed into this wedge, which now we put this little rising channel just to appease some. But it really does look like that wedge is the overall formation here. But we'll see. It's got a chance to just confirm a rising channel if we start giving away from that low support and start to use this as a new support area. So basically resistance, support, support, back up to a big resistance. We hit support down here. Now, if this starts to be the new support, then we could bounce in a channel. But if it keeps coming down here, that channel has no... If it comes down here again, that channel's useless. Let's just put it that way. It's already went bam, but bam, all the way down here. So the wasn't even using the rising channel. Now it's just bouncing up to a new support. If it breaks up, sure, it could do that. But if it breaks down, it's already telegraphing it to the wedge area. So that's what I'm looking at for Bitcoin. Went a little in depth with Bitcoin, but it's only because I thought it was necessary. And we've talked about the Bitcoin dominance, how it had to come back down. It was so oversold that it had no choice in the weekly. And now it's starting to get that retracement. But we also have had a golden cross that we've had in the weekly as well. So this could be consolidation for the next move up for Bitcoin to outpace altcoins. Because now we're getting into that oversold area. And it's the complete opposite of what we were looking at about a week or two ago. The complete opposite. Actually, about 2 weeks ago. So everybody is wanting Bitcoin at 30,000, but the bottom line is Bitcoin's got a long way to go before it could even face 30,000. Let's just put it that way. There's a lot of support that has to be broken. And like we're looking at some extreme volatility here with the Bitcoin dominance chart. And I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I'm just going to show it. You got that resistance that's forming. Some could say it could come back down. But if we're looking at the actual formation that's created in the short term, this is what speaks out to me. So that's basically the movement here. So would it be so crazy for it to bounce off of this area? No, not at all. It's not even measured up properly, but it wouldn't be a surprise. We're basically at that support area right now if we're going to bounce up. So there's a lot of ways to look at Bitcoin, or the dominance chart, but right now it's overextended. It's going to come back up to the top side. I wouldn't be surprised if you get another push up to 54, 55. Somewhere up towards there. It's overextended now. PAXG we talked about. There was an opportunity. Or if there is an opportunity, it remains to be seen. The bottom of this formation's down here at about 2001. It did bounce off of here once, and it looks like some kind of inversion is being created. If we look at the 2 hourly, it's heading into oversold. 1 hourly's in oversold. 45 is just breaking out of oversold. Looks like a small bull flag was formed. It almost feels like even if it is very bearish here, it'll come back up here again towards 2046. But hey, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just trying to show a little bit of an outlook here. 30-minute, it's got a lot of room to run still. Even when you get into these higher time frames, some pressure going to be put on here to the top side eventually. So pay attention, because between this and how it plays off of gold, the troy ounce of gold is getting into an area where you look at some of these time frames. 3 hourly's approaching oversold, 2 hours in oversold, 1 hour's in extreme oversold, 45 and 30-minute is pushing back, and it's still an oversold, but it was an extreme 15-minute. It looks like we probably want to come down here to like 2019. That's not about $7. And then we'll see what happens. So I encourage everybody to look at the midday market report from earlier if you want to see more on that. We have 70 people in here. Wow, thank you so much. Only 31 likes, though. Please make sure to do a better job on those likes. That's our due de garage. That's our one way that we can get more people in here and have a bigger viewing audience. By hitting that like button, it forces YouTube to share us through the algorithm. It helps our analytics. And if you share this on social media, it'll help more people come in here. If you don't want to do any of that, you can always send a YouTube super chat or join Tom's Army, which none of that has happened on the live. But you can always hit that like button, and you can circumvent that and pay it forward in that way. It's the ultimate way to pay it forward is by hitting that like button. We've got H-bar up about 3.66%. H-bar is another one that appears to be running off of a cup and handle formation. It looks like a W reversal is being put in as well. But if this is set up, if we go back into the daily time frame on H-bar, and then we'll look at XRP as well, looks like we're setting up the handle right now in a cup and handle, and it looks like it's all but set up. You go boom, set up this handle, and then if you rotate out of here, it's a nice move, and we've started to create that W reversal here. So it's going to be very interesting. Your line right now in the sand is to get past that 837 area. But if you look at this in the smaller time frames, we can certainly see some kind of W reversal that looks like it could be taking place here. Right beneath our it's right here. We are going to start getting into overbought here in the lower time frame, so we will have to shuffle this out in the 45. But let's just say it does come up, and maybe it is starting to form something here. Right now, resistance is right there, so we just have to pay attention to that. And then XRP, I know we haven't gotten to there yet, but XRP, if we look at this first in like a daily perspective, like we looked at H-bar, for me, if I'm looking at this, XRP first here, we're trying to put this handle in right now. I mean, I don't know how many people are still watching this because of how far it came down, but we did have a nice cup and handle here in the daily. We came through. Now, if this holds this and swings up, that could still put in a bullish handle here. Even if it holds this and comes around, you could find yourself in a very big W reversal. Even if it comes all the way down here, that's the thing. Like, even if XRP came all the way down, it could find itself in a very interesting pattern. But if you go down there, it's a little bit less. But if you look at it from maybe an hourly perspective, and we start to look at XRP from like a shorter time frame, what actually is formed here, I think very easily we could say we're working on a short-term cup and handle that should get us to 63 cents. Maybe one that's a little more extended. Maybe if you come back here, we came around. But I think at least in the very short term, we could be working on this short-term cup and handle. And it started right here on the drop. And now we're kind of swinging around. And if we were going to do this, you'd swing around and then you'd come up in here and see how you react. I think we could be testing back to 63 cents. We haven't dumped like we could have. So, but if we do, and I'm not saying that if we come up there, that's just the rundown's over. There's still a very big chance on the bottom side of this bull flag, even if we come back up and retest 63 cent area, that would be a retest for rejection. So that's where it gets a little dangerous. Like, even if we come up there, we could well, yeah, Jorge, there's absolutely a big chance that that's where we go up for rejection. That's what I've been saying. If we go up a pump, so a run up is going to be pretty painful. A dump down, so you get a dump for a longer term pump. If you get a pump, it includes a short term dump. So you're going up for rejection or you're coming down to support. Right now, crypto looks like it wants to go up for rejection. And that's not just an XRP thing. This is across the board. Every chance that we've had to dump this out properly and clear out the relative strength of XRP or crypto, we continue to take the up route, and that's the pain route. Short-term gains equal long-term pain. Short-term pain equals long-term gains. That's how you should all be thinking of it. And right now, unfortunately, for whatever reason, crypto continues to want to sit in this, it seems like this longevity here. It seems like we've got a longevity of just rejection, and it's been happening for 7 months or 6 months. Well, it's been happening for years, but now it looks like XRP, at least for now, should play off of this small bull flag here. It really should. I know it's a bear flag and bull flag, disguise, whatever. But it looks like it should come up here, at least for rejection. Even at minimum, you'd think 61 cents should be on the table. And I'm basing that on the fact that the relative strength in the 2-hourly crossback bullish. Looks like we put in a nice inversion here, little sneaky W that is not even visible yet until it pulls up. But I like to see things before they completely move. So, like, if I'm looking at this, you come down, and if that bounces out from here to, you don't even have to go there. You can just say, boom, created this double down. Now, if it bounces around, I mean, you can very clearly see a W in many different ways here, in my opinion. Now, would it do something like that and come around? Is this going to come down and then get rejected at the 200 in the 2-hourly? That's something we have to watch as well. But it seems to me when you're in a formation like this, resistance, support, resistance, support. It seems like it would come back to resistance at the very least, and that gets you around 61 cents. Could see a very easy overextension to here to retest that bull flag breakdown. But I'd like to get out of this overextended part of this formation. Had XRP have just come down just come down from here and went resistance, support, resistance, failed support, come down to 534, back to resistance, creates a double bottom on 534, bounces back up, gets back in here, bounces out, this is what you'd want to see. You want to see that. We're not seeing that. Right now we look to be taking the upward rejection route. I don't show this because I'm mad at XRP or because I hate XRP. In fact, I'm a holder of XRP. I show this because if it takes the up route, we should be expecting a rejection and then a further consolidation down. If it takes the route down, we should expect a further consolidation up, a continuation. We're still on a weekly golden cross. That's something that hasn't changed. And we're converged. We're absolutely converging, but you can't lose this. You want to get back on this 20-day at 583 by the end of this weekly. It looks like it could be a reversal candle, though. It really does. Down, reverse. Maybe this pulls up and it shows a green reversal along like doji. But it would have to pull up into that 60, 61, 62 cent range. So it almost seems like to me maybe this is what's setting up here. We look at this from a monthly perspective. XRP's got a lot of room still. Everybody acts like XRP's just got nowhere it can go. It's actually on the bullish side of the monthly on a relative strength perspective. But it's got a chance of breaking that down in the next couple of months if it were to take the down route. It could have alleviated a lot, though, but it didn't. It decided to take the up route. And most times we do. We have a lot of buzz in the air. We did. And now there is none. It seems like all the buzz has died. And we are where we're at. 46 likes. We need to do a better job at that. Barely even 50%. Put in a lot of time here. The least I ask is for everybody to hit the like button. Only 46 out of 82. That's uninspiring, to be honest. XRP. Let's see what we have in the news. So we've got a lot of the speculative news that I don't care about. I'm not a fan of speculation. Hey, Derek, it is what it is. I've come to understand that some days, some moments, sometimes when the market's not moving, some people just don't want to hit the like button. It is what it is. I'm still gonna come in here and do my thing. I'm not dominant in my own. I'm a self-starter, so whether somebody hits the like button or not, I'm still gonna be here. It's just, it doesn't do the benefit for me if nobody's hitting the like button and I'm putting out all this information and nobody can see it. I already get shadow banned a lot from YouTube. So I don't charge for anything. Most other people you see always have paid promotions, paid advertisements, paid sponsorships. They always make you sit through mumbo jumbo. They make you pay for their information. You have to pay for the trading courses, pay for their trades, pay to see their copy trades, pay to see this, do that, and everything in between. I don't do any of that. I don't even charge you for any of the information. So you want to send a YouTube super chat, you want to join Tom's army to circumvent it, hey, that's on you. But really, all I ever ask is for that like. One day we'll be in a position here where the likes won't matter as much, but as it is now, we're working on 20,000 subscribers, and I really need the likes. It's that simple. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse called U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission Chair Gary Gensler a political liability. So some asked what was going on in the news. This is one thing. Garlinghouse was addressing a litany of regulatory actions the SEC has taken against crypto companies and the much delayed approval of the spot Bitcoin ETFs by the regulator. The Ripple CEO said that what Gensler was doing, including suing companies like his and pushing back on crypto ETFs, was the definition of insanity. Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse fired off criticism at the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission Chairman Gary Gensler on Tuesday, calling the SEC chief a political liability. The comment from Garlinghouse was directed at Gensler over the SEC chief's track record on regulating the crypto industry, lengthy delays to approving spot Bitcoin exchange-traded funds, and high-profile lawsuits against companies like his. I do think the chair of the SEC, Gary Gensler, is a political liability, and we'll see this little video. We'll see the little video in the United States, and I think he's not acting in the interest of the citizenry. He's not acting in the interest of the long-term growth of the economy, and I don't understand it, Garlinghouse told CNBC's Arjan Karpol on stage during a fireside chat at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. I think at some point there will be a new chair of the SEC, and I think that will be a good day or a good thing for the American people. And let's watch this very quickly. Probably have to see an ad first, but That's fine.
One of the definitions of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and not expecting a different outcome. I think Gary Gensler is doing the same thing over and over again, and it thinks that somehow he's going to win in court. He has continued to lose in court. I do think the chair of the SEC, Gary Gensler, has become a political liability in the United States. And I think he's not acting in the best interest of the citizenry. He's not acting in the best interest of the long-term growth of the economy. And I don't understand it. And I think at some point, there will be a new chair of the SEC, and I think that'll be a good thing for the American people.
There were a couple of interesting things after that Bitcoin ETF was approved in that statement. One, and I paraphrase here, was effectively Gary Gensler saying, just because we allowed the Bitcoin ETF, don't think we're now going to allow a bunch of other crypto assets. The second interesting thing was the price of Ether skyrocketed immediately after, on hopes that there could now next be an ETH ETF. What are the chances of that?
I think it's a certainty. I think
this year?
I'm not going to put a horizon on the time, but I think there will be other ETFs.
So what do we think in the comments real quick? Do you think there's going to be an Ethereum ETF? Do you think XRP's got a chance in an ETF? For me, I think for XRP to have an ETF, we're going to have to see through an Ethereum one first. If I had to guess, there's too many connections between the SEC and Hinman and Ethereum. There's too much.
Yes, for sure.
An XRP one?
There will be other ETFs for sure.
but an XRP one?
I love this game we play. Look,
Thanks, John.
Last time I lost.
That's fine. But look, the sad part of that reality is we have a Bitcoin ETF only because a U.S. court said to the SEC,
I agree.
arbitrary
Ethereum.
and capricious in your application of the law. What would be sad is if every ETF had to go through that same journey and for Gary Gensler to get smacked down by the U.S. court system again. That might be necessary, but again, at some point, I think Gary Gensler won't be the chair of the SEC, and that'll be a good thing for the American people.
So that's what happens there. Now, we had the user surging with XRP as well, as far as Ripple. Actually, you know what? XRPL would be the way to look at this. See if they even put anything on here. Oh, yeah, that's what I wanted to show. Duh. Finance with XRP. How could I forget this? This was something big I wanted to talk about. Because Binance talked about XRP and how they were going to delist. I wonder if there's anything more to this. Did anybody see anything with Binance out of curiosity? With XRP? Because they were talking about delisting pairings of XRP, but I don't see anything on this right now when I typed it in. I wonder where that post went. I literally just read it. Well, I'm gonna have to do more research after the live, and then maybe I'll do a separate thing. But I literally was reading this earlier. What do I know? Can't find it. Yeah, but it was on my phone, though. That's the only problem. I'll have to look on my phone. All right. So, I'll keep looking. You know what? Let me look at Ripple real quick. Yeah, there was stuff in early December, but they were starting to talk about it going into effect now, so I wanted to give the updated information. Yeah, December 22nd is when we got a lot of news from that. This is actually one of the things that I thought was going to pop up immediately when I typed XRP, but I forgot to type Ripple. So, has anybody heard of this today? Just out of curiosity, as I wanted to go over the news a little bit. But crypto firm Ripple explored IPO outside of U.S. because of hostile SEC won't go public soon. Ripple explored markets outside the U.S. for its initial public offering. CEO Brad Gardenhouse told CNBC, blaming a hostile regulator However, the firm has put any plans for an IPO on hold for now, Garlinghouse said. Instead of an IPO, Reuters reported Ripple bought back shares for its shareholders this month. Garlinghouse confirmed this and said the company to date has bought back $1 billion of stock. So look at that. Instead of putting the IPO out, so everybody was saying there was a XRP buyback. It was just a Ripple buyback of the IPO, it looks like. So this is interesting. This is interesting. So let's listen to what he says. Whoops. So, I think this is interesting. As we know, it's been a very big problem for XRP and Ripple, the SEC. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're looking outside the USA.
We have been cash flow positive the last couple of years. That has been a unique place in the market and allowed us to invest not only in the core of Ripple, but also in acquisitions. And even, recently you may have read we did a tender offer to our shareholders. We've now repurchased over $1 billion of stock from our shareholders. That's something that's important to us, quite frankly, because it is not an immediate term priority to go public. In the United States, trying to go public with a very hostile regulator that has to approve your S1, that doesn't sound like a lot of fun to me. Coinbase obviously had their S1 approved, and now the SEC is suing them for doing things that was outlined in their S1. Now, as I mentioned, there's a hearing tomorrow in the U.S. about some of that, but I think it's indicative of why would we want to subject ourselves to an SEC that is openly hostile to this industry.
So in terms of an IPO, an exit of some sort, is that sort of parked to the side at this point?
Yeah,
or are you looking elsewhere outside the US for a listing?
Yes to all of those. I don't think about an IPO as an exit. I think about an IPO as a step in the journey. Shareholder liquidity is important to me. We have
whoever just said that on the bottom about them buying back, saying the government might adapt in the USA, that is a possibility. I think them buying back their Ripple IPO shares and not going public, there's something deeper to this, and I'm actually very excited to see this. That's a lot of collateral and liquidity that would have to go via Ripple XRP or on the XRP ledger instead of going through the stock market, which was my biggest fear. Bye, Michaela. Bye, Scarlett. I'll miss you.
Well, we're gonna be with you this week.
I know, I can't wait. All right, bye, love. Yeah, zip your coat up, please. All right. The girls had to go back to their dad. So sad. But we'll see them Thursday for the weekend. But yeah, so I think it's interesting. I think what Derek said, do you think Ripple buying back their IPO means that the federal government is going to adapt or use Ripple as a contractor to be the XRP? I think that's actually a pretty interesting question. So let's continue on to this. How many people stuck around for this? 67. I know when I take away the chart, some people leave. But I think this is important. I think sometimes we have to pay attention to all angles.
We have investors that first invested in Ripple in 2012. So they've been in this deal for 11 and a half years. And so we want to provide that liquidity, which is one of the reasons why we've done these tender offers and now repurchased over $1 billion of stock. We have looked at other jurisdictions that have clearer rules of the road. But honestly, a lot of people go public because they need to raise capital.
Yeah.
Ripple's not really in a place where we need to raise capital. And so it is not a short-term priority. We're obviously keeping that option open, and we'll evaluate it as time continues, and we'll evaluate it again.
100% correct, Chris. Gee, that is 100% correct. It's the exact same reason that I didn't like the Ripple IPO. It seems to me that it would be showing less faith in XRP Ripple, but it also gives a liquidity hub that throws money into the stock, just like with the Bitcoin ETF. This allows money to be taken from the crypto market and being bought through it in the stock market. I mean, not everybody sees that correlation, but I certainly do. I could certainly see a problem with this. Oh, it certainly is. It certainly is, JW. And it's so funny you say that. I'm actually rolling one right now as we speak. I had to wait for the girls to leave.
And as we have new regulators sitting at the United States SEC.
And I guess some of it's market dependent as well. Last year was an interesting, space with in the tech world more broadly. There were a lot of secondaries, buybacks, but very few IPOs. The market wasn't obviously very great for them. So I guess it's also, how the broader markets play out as well.
For sure, that's part of it, and not just the public markets, but also the crypto markets. And I think Coinbase's stock is in a much stronger position now than it was a year ago, but obviously well off its highs from 3 years ago when it went public. So it's just not a huge priority. We have a lot of capital, very strong balance sheet. We can continue to play offense through an acquisition point of view, invest in the business. As we started this conversation, I am very optimistic about the crypto market in 2024 because of those things around putting compliance first, right? Making sure we focused on solving real problems for customers and not just the speculative cycle. I think will put the whole industry on a really good trajectory.
So, I mean, that's that. I think that's a lot. I think we've discovered a lot here, listening to it. And not just hearing me say it, listening to Brad Garlinghouse say it. I think it holds weight because he could be fudding us up, obviously. They could all be fudding us up. That's the bottom line, but you want to hear it from them. You want to hear the information from them. You don't want to hear secondhand speculation. You don't want to hear from other influencers that maybe spin it into their own narrative. You just want to see the facts. That's what I want to see. That's why I'm here. And honestly, it kind of grinds my gears a little bit to see so much untruth along the social media wave, the airwaves. Because honestly, I hear a lot of people say, well, they're not the professionals. Yeah, I'm not a professional. I don't have a degree in broadcasting, or I didn't go to school to become a financial advisor or anything like that. But sometimes you have to have good ethics. I would like to teach my audience good values and a good way of trading, not speculative nonsense that makes me short-term money off my audience. Like, I don't understand that. So we're all going to do this together. And the ones who stay end up making bank. The ones who don't end up missing out on good buying opportunities. But I guarantee you one thing, everybody comes back at some point. It's just a matter of, did you come back after the run? Did you come back after it was too late? Or did you stick around so you could take advantage of the entire cycle? You don't know how many people I've had over the years that just leave and come back after. So that basically does it. That's everything I wanted to talk about with XRP. In 3 minutes, we'll have the daily close, so I'm sticking around for that. But as we go through the slower cycle, you should ask the questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to put your answers out there boldly. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there in a down cycle. I'm telling you right now, a lot of people end up missing out on the good times because in the bad times, they just don't have the mental capacity to focus in on what we're doing. Derek says, I look at it like this, Tom. In the event that XRP will be backed by gold and XLM will be silver rumors, having it on IPO, the feds would lose. I agree with that. That is a part that, honestly, is being overlooked. I think the feds would lose in that aspect. Not saying that they wouldn't make money as well, but I think they would lose in that regard. There's just, I don't know, it seems like a negative there to do it. I just don't see the power of an IPO. Unless you're trying to grab liquidity that you don't think you can elsewhere get, or you need funding, the IPO simply makes no sense. Most companies stay private and they never IPO because they have funds. So, I mean, it doesn't really make sense for XRP or Ripple to do it. Unless they're looking to dish out some of the liquidity and they don't trust the SEC. That's it. XRP is making me exhausted. Thanks for the tea. It makes everybody exhausted, but that makes me want to be here even more. And seeing all the negativity, seeing all of the misinformation, it makes me want to be here more. Honestly, it really does. It drives me to be here every day. It's the 4th time I was on today. The buzz isn't as strong, obviously. The buzz isn't as strong in crypto. But if we keep grinding it out, I believe that we're going to get to where we want to go. And don't you guys appreciate the fact, and gals, that we've gotten the buy-ins that we've gotten, that we've been able to buy in 21 and sell, and then rebuy in 23, and then understand where we're going? Yeah, no problem, Derek. Yeah, we're going to be out of here shortly anyhow. Julie, do you have a lighter?
I do.
Would you like to see how this tastes in the joint? I rolled it while I was on. I've rolled it while I was on air. But yeah, so that's what I'm watching today.
My first
I know.
snow.
You did good. But I'm looking at this volatility. Volatility's good. It is. With XLM, I've been following this pattern for a few days. I thought it was kind of in a broadening wedge, but as I looked at it more with the updated technicals, I think this really satisfies the formation. So then it allowed us to see why this uptrending support stopped. It wasn't a short term, what looked like a broadening wedge, but I think this does help show a better interpretation. I could put it back into a wedge formation, but I think this actually in a shorter time frame is much clearer. We can look at the immediate short term where it does look like a short term wedge was formed in like the 30-minute when you look at it. But other than that, we could even say like this little part of this pattern has formed that, and now we're looking for the breakout back to the top of the wedge. We formed the bull flag, so I don't think there's any doubt that we're going to come up here for resistance right around that 12-1 probably. That's what it looks like crypto's ready to do. But look at this. We get beaten down here into an M-topping reversal, and then you come right back through here and come back down. So it's going to be interesting.
I need to get gas soon.
Guy will be done, Julie.
Does somebody want to go to the gas station for me? Any Michiganders in the audience? Give them $100.
Yeah.
They can keep the change.
So what do we think, everybody? What do we think of what we're seeing today? I'm just impressed that 65 of you are here right now, or 64, even after everything we've been through. I'm very happy that 70 of you hit the like button. I'm happy that we're still having these active discussions, even though crypto's not looking hot. Look at this, though. This is that shorter formation right here, and if it bounces off here, that is a reversal candle right now. What is this? Oh, it's a 5-minute. Don't get too excited about that. 10 or the 30-minute, it will try to do it. It's got to pull up just a little bit more, and you want to see this break about the 11.89 area. So very volatile, but they look like they're going to the upswing.
That's
Looks like
nice.
it is. Notice the difference inside of it too, from how the other one.
I'm still cold from my.
I know. Can you grab that ashtray that was by you? Oh, it seems to have disappeared.
Where'd it go?
I don't know. I think there's one. Yep, we can just. She needs to get gas for the car. Yes, she does.
I do, but I need someone to do it for me because it's spooky cold.
It is spooky cold. It is spooky cold. So we are going uptrend. It looks like it. I mean, I wouldn't call it an uptrend, though. The problem is this looks like it wants to go up for rejection. That's the only problem here. A lot of this looks like it could be the upward route to rejection. The one thing that does make it a little bit easier is the fact that we still have some room in the longer time frames with the relative strength index. And we could be signaling a pushback up here. Like we could be signaling that bullish signal we just did coming through the resistance on the relative strength. Oh, I know you are, JW. This is the toughest moment. Just on the brink of something huge. How many will make it? I suspect not many. I suspect not many are going to make it through this. This is the trial and tribulation of crypto right now. Most people have already bailed. We know the deal. If we were pumping, let's say XRP was up 20% today, we'd have 250 people in here active in this live. As it is, having 70 people for the live when it's doing what it's doing is incredible. But that's how you know. You want less people. You want less buzz. You want everybody to tell you it's going to 30 cents or less. You want all the news media outlets to tell you not to own it. You want it to hear the SEC's ringing down that Gary Gensler won't shut up. You know, you want to hear all this stuff. This is how you know you're in the right spot. If everybody's telling you to buy it, if everybody's telling you the pump's imminent, if everybody's telling you that it's the greatest thing since gold, you got a problem. You don't want that kind of buzz. The only time you want that kind of buzz is if you're looking for topside liquidity to have a big dump. Mississippi says, I got a buy-in at 534. I want to read the rest of that. He said, everything you say comes to light, but I didn't see the rest of it. I would just say it's not that everything I say comes to light. It's just that I have the perspective of what can happen within a formation. And when it sets up like it is today, I mean, to me, it's pretty obvious. We've created this little W formation. Huh?
And you don't do fun.
No, I don't do FUD.
I don't.
No. Julie said, and I don't do FUD. But that's what makes it easier. Makes it easier because you don't have to listen to all that nonsense.
Other people are lying for money.
They sure are.
And get no money.
I know. Julie said the other people are lying for money and I get no money. It's not true. I make some money. I do okay. It's just from a perspective of what you could earn on YouTube, I definitely should be more of a bad guy, but I think in the end it all comes to fruition anyhow. So when it all comes together, that's why when people send donations, there hasn't been any today, but when people do send donations, it's a blessing. I'm not gonna do that. I won't ever turn into that. I'd rather just be like this and not have to worry about that. I know I seen True in here. True, that was a while ago now. True, if you're in here, thank you for tuning in, my friend. Another excellent on the charts. Very, very wise. So I guess with that, it's pretty much been everything that I wanted to talk about. We held this support here. Now we look to be rolling back to this resistance. It's going to be a very consolidatory phase right now. When we look at it from a daily perspective, look where XRP's at. We're on a bull flag in the daily. I'm just saying it for what it is. That's a bull flag according to the relative strength index. And it's on the top side. Weekly, we've crossed to a bearish side, but that looks like a falling channel. Those are bullish reversals. And it came down harshly at the bottom of it, so it already had that concept. Man, this looks like it could be trying to set up a reversal. I'm just telling everybody, if this pulls up in the weekly past like 59 cents and it works its way, this is a reversal candle in the making. Just imagine this with a wick to the top side. That's a long leg doji. Right now it's a hammer candle, a bullish hammer. That's a reverse, or that's a bullish reversal candle right now. Something's happening here. Feels like something's brewing. Look how low it is on the weekly RSI too. That's right in the neutral at 50. That's actually a really nice spot to reverse for a nice push up. That would be a continuation setup. So that's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm feeling, everybody. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. If you have anything to add, please, please add it now. Or it's been a beautiful 42 minutes together, and I'm going to end this. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. The daily candle, as we know, it closed about 7 minutes ago. The daily candle looks like a nice squeeze right now. It closed at 5.7. Sounds good, Julie. 5.7529. Or 5.7559. Or 5.51. So 57.551 is where it closed. I don't think that's a terrible close at all, especially for what it looks like it wants to set up. But man, I feel good about what we've seen today. I feel good what we've seen today. I feel good about what we covered today. And the only thing, if anybody here wants to just relax with me for a second while I finish this, and we're off of crypto now, but I want you to hear something that Peter Schiff said, and I find this fascinating. And I don't know how many people will sit here and listen to this with me, but if you'll give me 5 or 6 minutes here right now, watch this with me and hear what Peter Schiff said about the debt crisis, how it's mathematically guaranteed and it's coming. He breaks it down beautifully in this 8 or 9 minutes. Before I play this, make sure to hit that like button and share this on social media. If you're looking to trade XRP or your favorite crypto, video description below. You can trade the way I do for the lower spot fees, and you can futures leverage trade, longing or shorting the market, as well as spot trading on the exchanges in the video description below. There are options outside of Uphold so that we don't have to pay the higher fees. And then if you want to send it to Uphold, so be it, with XRP and one similar. So I appreciate everybody who stuck around.
Are you still wearing enough layers to insulate Alaska? That's why you need the new and improved bearskin hoodie.
So I do appreciate everybody who stuck this out. I appreciate everybody who continues to watch this. I'm very upset at myself for not hitting the like button for Peter Schiff on this video. I mean, I feel bad, but he got 62,000 views here, and they only gave him 2,500 likes. That's an insult. I know how that feels at a smaller scale because most of my videos get 12 to 1,500 views, but only about 150 to 200 likes. So here we go.
What most people care about right now, what even normal people care about, is the fact that they're poorer
You
today.
have to go back and talk.
Everyone is. 17% inflation. That's what we've all experienced since Joe Biden took office. We got inflation numbers today a little bit hotter than usual, 3.4%. All this is basically terrible. Combine this with the fact Washington, D.C. hasn't stopped printing and spending money. In fact, they haven't even slowed down. Well, that makes me almost cringe as I introduce Peter Schiff, because I know he's probably got some horrible things to tell us. Joining me now, Chief Economist and Global Strategist, easy for me to say, at Euro Pacific Asset Management. Okay, Peter, I can't imagine you're going to be all sunshine and rainbows today, but please take it away.
Well, no, and you're absolutely correct. Americans are getting poorer, and they're going to get a lot poorer. Go broke.
Oops.
Percent inflation. That's what we've all experienced since Joe Biden in D.C. hasn't stopped.
Well, no, and you're absolutely correct. Americans are getting poorer, and they're going to get a lot poorer as long as the U.S. government continues to grow and spend their money. But the way the government has been choosing to spend money recently is by debt and borrowing. And in order to finance...
I don't think so, JW, but who knows? I have been saying 2023 a lot, although in today's live I said 2024, so look at me, I'm growing and I'm remembering.
That the Federal Reserve has printed a lot of money, and that is the source of the inflation. In fact, that is the very definition of inflation. It's an expansion of the supply of money, but not just money, credit. And we got some news last week that consumer credit has exploded to an all-time record as Americans continue to borrow to buy things that they don't earn enough money to afford.
Can I ask an honest question with the ones who stuck around? 51 stuck around, but why do so many people, just out of curiosity, why do so many people leave when we talk about the actual economy? When I show Peter Schiff, when we talk about like precious metals and the 10-year yield and government bond, why do so many people leave? I'm just curious for the ones who stay. Why do you stay? Like, I understand some want to stay because I'm on, but what would be the reason for someone to leave and not take the finer information? I'm just not understanding the correlation. Do we just not want to hear the truth? Or do we just not care?
And all that means more upward pressure on prices. The Fed has done too little too late to put the inflation genie back in the bottle. And the Biden administration has done nothing. In fact, we've had very stimulative fiscal policy. We're running nearly $1 trillion of debt every quarter under Biden. And that means a lot more inflation, and prices are going much.
Guys, $1 trillion a quarter right now we're printing in inflation. $1 trillion a quarter. That means every quarter, $1 trillion is being printed into circulation. Your dollar is being devalued every quarter exponentially.
Higher.
Okay, Peter, help me understand what this means. Let's focus on the consumer part, because this has been one of those trends, and I'm an idiot, but I know this is alarming and really, really bad. Consumer credit card debt through the roof, consumer savings bottoming out. Those two things combined are horrific beyond belief. What does it mean for a nation when the people itself drown in debt? Not just the government, the people themselves. What do we do when there's a personal debt crisis?
Yeah, and you know, the people are on the hook for the $34 trillion in government debt. And where does the government get the money to pay the debt? From the people who are already broke and have their own debt. And in fact, Americans are a lot broker than they think if they try to factor in their personal share of that $34 trillion national debt. And of course, that's not all the debt. That's the tip of a debt iceberg. It's about $200 trillion in total when you look at all of the unfunded liabilities that Americans are on the hook for based on what the federal government has obligated them to pay. Now, obviously, because Americans are too broke to pay the debts, they're going to be inflated away. The Federal Reserve is going to be called on to monetize this debt, to print money. And so rather than Americans losing their money, they're going to lose the value of their money. The purchasing power of dollars is going to crash. And that means the price of everything that you buy with dollars is going to go way up.
Peter, can you help me understand something? And maybe this is more of a psychological question.
Yes. Yes, Michael. Not sure how you can have a good foundation in crypto if you don't understand what's driving and failing our economy. I couldn't have said it better myself. Michael said, or Marie said that. Thank you for that. That's 100% on the money. Michael says people leave because they probably got what they wanted from the information you shared. I can understand that. I just think, I understand coming in here to get crypto and XRP and that. But like, if you're already in here, what's the harm in staying here for 6 minutes or 7 minutes and listening to what they have to say and listening to what's coming? Like, if you depend on the US dollar as the world reserve currency as it is right now, if you're in a country that relies on the US dollar, you're in trouble just like the USA. Maybe not to as big of an extent, or maybe to a bigger one, just depending on how much you're into it, how deep it is in your country. But it's not just the USA's that kind of fail here. It's everybody who follows in the footsteps and uses the US dollar on that pedestal. That's the problem.
Bit of a financial one, but the things you and
Oh, good. I said it right, Marie. No problem. No problem. I like to go back and forth with the audience. It's something that I think we have special here. We'll have a couple hundred people in here at a time. I think the most we ever had was 321. But usually, if XRP's not doing like it is a bad day, we'll have over 100, 150. But even on bad days, I think having 70 people and 60 people, even if there's 20 people that are still, there's interest in it, I think there's still a collective that we can get the information out. But I think the back and forth is something when there's less people, it's easier to do. So, just like we're getting the information right now, I love it. Can you please explain what happens if XRP comes to world reserve? Aren't we just ahead? See, I don't think XRP can be the world reserve currency. Not in a sense of every country, every person in the world is going to use it. What I think is it can become a liquidity for the entire world. See, there's two differences. World reserve currency would suggest that it's the leading source of, just like the US dollar. It's the world reserve currency right now. So essentially you're saying instead of the US dollar, it would be XRP. So petrol and all that would have to be paid in XRP, which means you'd have to convert your native currency into XRP, yada, yada, yada. What I think can happen and why there's 100 billion total circulating supply, and it makes sense, or 99.94 billion. I think the reason for that is in the liquidity sense of banks, that you could have a liquidity pool there to where, okay, not necessarily you need to own XRP, but think of it as a stable system. So if it's all digital and you have to have the digital funds somewhere, why not have it in XRP with 100 billion tokens? So instead of having a digital dollar, your digital dollar becomes a reserve, which would pull into XRP's collateral pool, which would be where the XRP ledger comes into play. And the Ripple consensus algorithm, or the Ripple consensus algorithm protocol, or whatever, I might have said it backward, but the RPCA, that's where all this would come into play. I think the banking structure, not a world reserve currency, but I could see it being world reserve liquidity. So the banks, they have that collateral pool inside, like with crypto. Right now it's in Tether. So on a crypto exchange, they can show their reserves and just show a bunch of Tether, even though it's artificially created. Think of the same thing in a bank, having to have a digital pool of funds, but that pool of funds being tagged to XRP and whatever it's related to its price. Like I could see that happening. That's what in my back of my head, that's what I'm hoping for. It's a stable coin. It has to be a stable price. And there's so many tokens available for that sense. It has to be an artificial liquidity hub for the banking sector in a digital era. That's what I want to believe. Is that what's going to happen? It might not. But if we come to a world reserve anything, I think that's what we are. We're a world reserve liquidity. We have reserve liquidity for the banking sector is what I think. And I think that's why it's going the way it is with the SEC, because they're not ready. It's not ready yet. They got to keep delaying until the proper time. You don't want to have it available, the plan's out, and everybody knows what's going to happen. Otherwise, the price is going to be too expensive. Or you're not going to have enough tokens available for when the job is ready to be done. I don't know. You guys can tell me if you think I'm crazy or not, but that's what I think is happening. Or could be happening. So let's get back to this.
I discuss here when we talk about inflation and
Gales, you
$1 trillion on the debt every 3 months and all these other things. These are not Republican or Democrat or Libertarian issues. This is math. The debt crisis is mathematically guaranteed. No ifs, ands, buts. It's coming. Yet nobody in D.C., Republicans, Democrats, nobody acts as if it is coming. Can you explain that to me?
Well, the problem is it's been coming for a long time. And guys like me have been warning about it for a long time, and yet we haven't had a crisis yet. I mean, we've had...
The simplest answer is W4, and then this is it, and then I'll answer, if I decide to answer questions after this is over. 2028.
financial crisis. In fact, we had another one in March of last year, but they were able to, sweep the problems under the rug with another round of bailouts. But because we've been able to do this, kick the can down the road for so many years, people in Washington now who maybe were concerned about these issues 5 or 10 years ago just assume that this can go on indefinitely because it hasn't become a crisis yet. And I think that kind of conceit is going to come back to bite us because we are going to have a massive sovereign debt and currency crisis. It's not a question of will we have one, but a question of when we have one. And the longer we wait for it, the worse it's going to be. Because between now and the crisis, the problems keep getting worse. We have more and more debt, and we have a more dysfunctional...
Sorry for anybody who doesn't know about the hair. I promise it's almost been 7 months now. I think it's been over 6, almost 7. It was back in July. That was the last time I would cut my hair when Julie cut it until XRP got to $1. And then it would show after a while, like it's been some time, and now look at my hair. It's showing that we've had some time here where they've been calling for $1, and now it's going on over 6 months, or 7 months, I should say, maybe even 8 months. So we'll see how long until it takes, but we know what's happening and what XRP has to do to get past certain levels. And we'll see how long my hair gets by the time we get to all-time highs, because I expect me to continue doing this past $1. I want to see how long it takes for us to get back to all-time highs, and what better way than to be like, it's been some time. And I'm happy. I just turned 40 in December, so to even have hair to be able to do this, I figure I might as well do it now before it's too late.
Economy that is built on that foundation. And so when ultimately it collapses, it's going to be far more painful for far more people because it went on for so long.
Peter, can you explain what it looks like? You mentioned pain, you mentioned the crisis. I talk about this as well. But for a normal person, they don't understand how that applies to them. There's a family, a bunch of them watching us right now in their living room. What does it mean to them that the country has a debt crisis? What does that mean?
Well, it's going to mean a much lower standard of living for everybody. I mean, most Americans, they go to a job or maybe they don't have a job, right? They're retired or, whatever they're doing, they're unemployed. But they buy a lot of stuff. They go to the store, they buy all sorts of things, but they don't actually help produce any of those things. So where's all this stuff coming from, right? Well, it's coming from foreign countries, by and large. It's coming from Asia. People are producing stuff and sending it here. And what are we giving them in exchange? We're giving them our paper. We're giving them the dollars that we print. But what are they doing with them? Because, we're not making stuff for them to buy. So they buy our financial assets. They buy our bonds, or maybe they buy up some stocks or real estate here. But I think as the dollar really starts to fall, our creditors are not going to want to recycle their trade surpluses into our financial assets. And the dollar is going to crash. And then all the goods that we import, which is pretty much everything we consume, are going to be too expensive for Americans to afford. And, of course, a lot of Americans also buy stuff on credit. Well, where's the credit coming from? Where's the savings? Well, that's coming from abroad, too. Well, when foreigners don't want to make our savings available to them and they don't want to provide us with goods, then our whole way of life is going to come crashing down. And Americans are going to have to accept a much lower standard of living where they end up working a lot more, but consuming a lot less.
Jeez. Peter, when? Well, I know that's an opinion.
You guys will all notice, everybody who talks to Peter who has good sense, they always have this demeanor at the end. It's so funny. But we might as well just watch this last 2 minutes and then I'm going to leave you guys. But it's been a fantastic hour. I've had a lot of fun here tonight. A lot of fun. So thank you all so much for keeping me entertained.
Question, but when? I'll tell you, the fact we're adding $1 trillion every 3 months and knowing that is increasing with interest rates and whatnot, that tells me it's got to be soon. It may not be tomorrow, but it's coming soon, right?
Well, it's obviously coming a lot sooner than I thought it was 5 or 10 years ago or more, because this is not the first time I pointed these problems out. It's just that now they're bigger than whenever I pointed them out in the past. And, we've seen some of the rumblings. Again, we've had some big problems, but we haven't had the final crisis. But again, that's just a function of of time. We've been able to fool more people and go deeper into debt and allow the underlying structural problems to get much worse. So yeah, I mean, we're literally living on borrowed time. I don't know. I mean, every day I go to sleep, we could wake up in a new reality, because I think our fate will be sealed in the foreign markets, because that's really our major creditors and our major suppliers. And they're the ones that are going to, pull the rug out from under this. But people should be prepared. I mean, I've been prepared for a long time personally in my investment portfolio at Europe Pacific Asset Management. We're building portfolios for people to protect their wealth, their purchasing power from a dollar crisis, from a U.S. sovereign debt crisis. That's really all you can do. I mean, we can't avert the crisis. There's nothing that I can do to stop it. It's going to happen. All I can try to do is minimize the financial damage to myself and to my clients. And that's what I'm trying to do. And of course, if enough people prepare in the way that I'm suggesting, that's also going to be good for the country. Because if everybody is broke, that's an even bigger problem. If at least some people don't go broke in America, then we have, a group of people that can help finance the rebuilding of the country, because we're going to need to rebuild a lot of critical manufacturing infrastructure that we've lost over the decades.
Jeez. Peter, thank you for giving us some hard truths. More people should.
If only you guys could have seen his face. But have a blessed night, everybody. Thank you all so much.